Okay, so I asked if anybody had anything they wanted to discuss, and we were talking about Dave's situation, which I couldn't help with, but John did send me a thing today, and he had a question. So I'll go ahead and pose John's question, put that out there, and if you have an answer for him, I don't have a definite answer. I have an idea to try. So while I'm explaining my idea, if you guys come up with something that you want to help John with, please let him know. But his question was, in Lightroom, he wanted to reorganize, essentially is what he's wanting to do. If I understand you right, John, you want to reorganize. You have the last 3 years are under a folder of the year that you took them, and you were wanting to get things, you know, from 2020 back in that same sort of layout. And so you wanted to know if there was an easy way to do it. And my only thought was to try using the metadata to do it. And I know you mentioned that in your note. But what I was thinking you could try, and it might work, and then I don't know if it will, so I would experiment before I tried the whole thing, maybe with a one little bitty folder or something. But my thought was the first thing I would do probably would be to create a new folder in your catalog, wherever you're storing them. So if it's a hard drive, you know, I would go and I would go into that left-hand panel, and I would click on the add new folder. So if you do a right click, one of the options is create a folder inside of, and then wherever you're storing it. So like John's hard drive or something, and title it the year. So say 2019. And so now you have a folder in place. So then the next thing I would do is on that left-hand panel, if you go up to catalog where it says all photographs, do you know where that is? So it's the left panel, it's under the catalog heading. If you get the drop down arrow, there's several listings. One of them is all photographs.
Okay.
So I would click on that, and then I would go over, as long as you're showing at the top of your library screen where you're in the grid mode, you'll have options of text, metadata. There's 4 options there.
Yep.
And I would go to metadata.
Right.
And I would go to 2019. Just click on the year 2019. And then it should just bring up the pictures from 2019. So my thought was you could then do a Control A, which will select all of those pictures. And at that point, you should be, theoretically, able to pull them into that 2019 folder.
Okay, that makes sense. And it does do that. And I've seen it there with by the year. It was just when we were taking pictures, you know, if we went to Wildcat Den, I would put it just on the hard drive and put it in a folder called Wildcat Den. And then later on, I started to put it in a folder that was by the year. Then it was still in a Wildcat Den folder, but at least I said what year it was in. Now I realized after I asked this question, then I felt kind of dumb, that I should go back to your last month's video on how you organized yours, and that's a heck of a lot better. Which,
well, I kind of did what you said, where like if I would have gone to Wildcat Den and took photos, I probably, if I would have done one in 2019, I would have stuck it in Wildcat Den. Well, actually, I would have probably put it in like Iowa. And then I would have put it in Wildcat Den 2019. And if I would have gone back and say 2022, then I would have had a Wildcat Den 2022. Or you could 2022 Wildcat, you know, whatever. But if I've gone multiple times, I would have them by location first and then date secondly. But
That
that's,
makes sense, because I only got a glance. I got to watch last month's video again where I saw you have all your travel stuff and then you break it down by state location, and that makes a whole lot more sense. So
the,
we-
I'll show you at a glance here. I'll do a screen share real quick and let's see if I can find where I want to go.
hey, is there a place where I can get the the strategy of that kind of layout?
No, it's in my head. So here's mine.
Put in your head on paper and say, here's a real good way to organize.
So here you can kind of see my organization, and it works in my head, you know. Sometimes I still forget where, because sometimes you'll have a shoot that could potentially be in multiple places. And so then it's kind of trying to decide, if in 2 years I was looking for this, where would I look for it? Would I look for it in birds or winter or, you know, whatever it happens to fall under, which one would be my first place to go looking for it? And then it's not always there. I mean, so I've put it somewhere else. So but it works mostly for me. But like when I get down to travel, which we probably all have travel. Let me close these all up real quick. You can see I have, it falls alphabetically, just naturally, but mostly by state, but then there's some that I think Europe, I have that. And this one is a weird one. I need to, this should go into Wyoming. So I didn't, Yellowstone, I have separate, but I have one in Wyoming also. So I need to get my act together there. But anyway, so when I go in, say for Alaska, I've only been there once. I did date it. It was 2021. And you can see I have like day one was in Anchorage, but then I went to Brooks Falls. And so on Brooks Falls day one, and then I separate those out because we were there for 4 days. So I break it down. Some people might just like it all Brooks Falls. I like it separated by the days because that's the way I still remember them. And then, so location, it's not necessarily chronologically ordered, but it's location ordered, or how I titled it anyway.
That makes more sense to me.
And then here, like Arizona, I've been there twice. So you can see I've done that by Arizona dates. So 2021 or 2011. And then we were at 2 places. So those fall underneath there. And then we're 2 different places in 2017. So that's kind of how I've got that one going. California's got quite a few. And you can kind of get a sense of where they are that way. I was trying to think if there's any.
So even though like California, even though they were taken on several different dates, they're all there. Anything from California, it's there. And I see 2023 back to 2016.
Yeah.
And so that makes sense.
Yeah.
That just is way better than the way that I have organized mine.
And, you know, at some point, if I decided to, it's like, if I look at this when we're talking, I mean, it works for me and it's not a big deal, but I get a little bit anal where it's like, I should have used the same layout. So like everything else had the year behind it. And for some reason this year I put it in front of there. And so really this one I probably should retitle, because it's not descriptive at all. And I should have put it was from Monterey, Carmel. So I really need to retitle that one. San Francisco, I don't have a year on it. I really need to retitle that. And you can see, like when we were there, I had several different locations. This might be a secondary trip to San Francisco. So see, it needs a little work. It's certainly not perfect. But I can generally find it. So it works for me. There's no way dates work for me unless it's simply to say, oh yeah, that was in 2017, this was in 2020. I remember, you know.
There's
So
no
that's
software that does that for me, is there?
not that I know of.
Oh, shucks.
You just have to sit there one day and say, okay, I'm gonna work on it for an hour or whatever.
Yeah, okay.
So,
I know enough that I want to be very careful and I don't want to screw it up. Or it'll be a disaster.
yeah. So, well, that was a little bit on that. Does anybody else have anything they want to talk over?
I was
Thank you,
just
Jack.
going to say, Jackie, you could put that into some kind of an outline form generally, you know, your major categories, what kind of falls within that, which might be a general guideline that a lot of us could follow, you know.
Oh, you'd like to see something put together? I could do that, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
thank
think
you
that would
so
be
much, Jackie.
Okay, I can do that.
Because
Let's see,
that's
I'll
a
make
very good
myself a
outline.
note. Huh?
That's a very good outline, and I think it applies to all of us to some degree. You know, I haven't been to California yet, but there's a lot of stuff you have that it applies to the kind of, well, you know, all the stuff that's on my hard drive. There's a lot of similarities there.
Okay. You
I
know,
don't
and
I
for
don't have
somebody
the
that's
cookies.
got family pictures and you've got, you know, sisters or brothers or daughters and sons, you know, it's kind of like I break each kid, say, you know, I would have my daughter's family and then I have my son's family, and under there they would be, you know, so I'll do things like that too. So yeah, I can do that. I'll try to do it soon so that I don't forget what I'm supposed to do. Okay, anything else? Well, tonight I thought, you know, so I would share something, and I thought I would share how to, maybe you didn't even know until we mentioned it the other day, that you have the option to make free websites because you have a subscription to Lightroom and Photoshop, the photography plan, and they don't publish it a lot and remind you that you have it or anything, but it's out there and it's pretty neat. And I don't know if anybody had time to go look at my website or not. It needs some updating for sure. I start playing with it and then I haven't been back to it for quite some time, so it needs a refresh. But anyway, I'm going to go over how to do it and maybe how to get started doing it. So I thought it may be helpful. So to get started, I'm just going to go over kind of some stuff you need to think about and what's going on. So these websites are free. You can make up to 5. They're pretty easy to use. Yeah, sometimes it's a little confusing because you have some customization things that you can do, and there's multiple screens and places to find them. So you think, well, I should be able to change it to meet my ideas, but where the heck do I do it? So that can get a little confusing if you're not in the right place, but just keep working at it. You're not going to screw it up. You're not rewriting code or anything. It's either in there or you'll make do with it the way it is. So, you can also use these websites. You don't have to use it just to display photography. If you're someone that is a writer, you like to journal things, you could post it there. If you write poetry or stories, that's not me, but you could put them on one of these websites. You could, if you're an artist, you could use it to show off the paintings you've made. Or if you're a gardener, maybe you garden, so you like to show off photos of your garden. Whatever is something that you want to share. Like I know, Audrey, you had that poem thing going. And so maybe it's something you'd like to put online, you know, you can do it in a video. You can post videos on this. So you could take that video that you created and you could put it on a website page so somebody could see it. So we'll get into how to do that in a minute, but I think I wanted to go over maybe how to start. And And when I say how to get started on this, I think these are something you need to do prior to going to Google and finding the address you need to go to. And so this is all prepare for making a website. And the more you prepare in advance, the faster that website will go together. So before I start sharing my screen, I'm just going to talk to you a little bit, and so you get to just look at me. But so what I think you need to do to start, to get ready to put together a website, is decide for yourself, what is this website going to share? What is it that you want to put on it? Do you want to do a lot of different things on one website? Or maybe, I told you, you get 5. So maybe if you want one for your poetry and one for your photography and one for showing off the cookies you bake or whatever it happens to be, you just need to decide. So which one are you going to start with, and what is the theme or the subject of that particular website? And then I would suggest you get out some paper and you actually physically make a list of what is your topic? And we'll say, it could be, like I said, photography, gardening, painting, whatever. Say, in my case, it's photography. So now you need to decide, what are you going to title this? Because you're going to want to get started. You need to know this stuff up front. So, are you going to call it, in my case, Jackie's Photography, Jackie Ger's Photography? Do you want to get some creative name? You just need to decide what it is. And I would make a whole list. And then maybe by the time you're really ready to set up your website, you'll have decided which one of those names of your website is best for you. You don't have to, it's not like you're registering a business or anything, so you can change it whenever you want, but just be prepared to get started. And that's a good place to start, because it sets your mind going down the path that you are going to use to produce this website. So the next thing I would say is you need to think about, if you're going to use your name in it, do you want it to be, like in my case, JackieGerst.com? Because that's not what the name, or that's not what you're going to type in as a URL if you don't pay for it. So you can get your name, or whatever you want it to be called, if you want to purchase a domain name. And so that I did purchase a domain name, because your name without, or the web address without a specific domain name, would be like JackieGerst.myportfolio.com. That would be mine. And so if I was telling someone, oh, go check out my website, and they say, oh, what's your website? And I say, well, if I can say it's JackieGerst.com, that's pretty easy to remember, right? They know my name, so JackieGerst.com. But if I have to say, well, it's JackieGerst.myportfolio.com, it's just a little more to remember. So you can decide. I don't even remember what my domain name costs. Maybe, I don't know, it started out at $12.99. I don't know if it's gone up. I don't remember. I just pay for it, and I didn't pay attention. But so if you're interested in getting a domain name, there may be other places to do it, but I did mine at GoDaddy.com. And you have a choice. If your name is like mine, it's kind of unusual. You probably not have anybody already have it. But if your name's Joe Smith, that might be a challenge. I don't know. So then once you get those things decided, then the next thing is kind of deciding almost the organizational thing of your website, kind of like we were just talking about Lightroom. So you need to decide what you're going to put on there. And in my case, I was using photography as my illustration. And so if I wanted to show travel photography, I would probably want one of my main headers that you click on to be travel. And then inside of travel, I would probably have like maybe Southwestern United States. Maybe I would have Italy or Hawaii, or you can be as Oh, yeah, I totally lost that word. As, you know, where everything is exactly the same, where you'd say, well, I said Southwest United States, so that's a region. So do I list it by just states or do I go by regions? So you can either decide what kind of continuity you have there or just be yourself. And it's like, well, this is what I have for Southwest United States. And this is where I'm going to put all those pictures. And then I have some Hawaii. And so I'm going to put all the ones in Hawaii, California. I'm just going to not break it into individuals. I'm just going to say it's California. You can decide how specific or how general your descriptions are. And then that might be one tab at the top. And we'll look at mine for an example here in a few minutes. Maybe florals are one. I take a lot of florals. So maybe I want a whole tab that's just flowers. Maybe I want one that's black and white. So you need to decide kind of what you're going to post. And then that would be, I would write that down, because the more you have written in front of you, the easier it will flow when you go to put it together. And then the next thing you want to do is you want to prepare the photos that are going to go into it. And that's where it's the most time consuming. But if you've already got them edited, you know, you can at least put in the ones that you've already gotten finished. And what you can do is start dragging those to collections. Now, that's what we talked about in our March meeting. So if you weren't there at the March meeting, or if you need a refresher, that video has been posted on YouTube. So you can go check that out with Riverbend's YouTube. But I would create the collections. And again, I would be organized, and we'll talk about how they go in there, and it's really easy. You can also have files just in your file system, you know, where they're JPEGs and stuff, but it's so easy to use their website to get into Lightroom, and it just posts it instantly. You don't have to save them as JPEGs. You don't have to do anything. It's just, it'll save it just as you have drug it into that collection. Now, when you put it in a collection, you should title it so you find it, and you want to sync it with the cloud. So when I was talking to you about collections last month, I said there's collections and there's collection sets. Well, this program that does the websites, it does not recognize collection sets. It only sees the collections. So you want to make sure that the images are in a collection. That collection can be inside a collection set for your organization purposes, but essentially collection sets are for your organizational preferences only. And then the collections are what can be used by Lightroom Mobile and Adobe Portfolio. So you want to make sure you're putting the photographs into a collection and titling it so you can find it. And my suggestion would be to title it maybe website. And in my case, we'll say it was website travel Southwestern United States. And then maybe it was website /florals. And so if it's houses everything alphabetically, then you know you're going to be looking for the word website. They're all going to be clustered together and you'll be able to find them easily. However, you can do whatever makes sense to you, because nobody's going to check it. That would just be my suggestion. So once you get all those things, if you have all your pictures drug into collections, a website can go up and come together extremely quickly. It's what takes a while is to say, oh, now I've got to go find my pictures and I want to here and one from over there. But if you've already got them all gathered up, you're good to go. So at this point, I think we'll go ahead. I'm going to share my screen and we're going to go over to start seeing. Hold on a second. All right, so can you see my screen now? Do you see like Google? Anybody?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, so I don't know of a quick way to get there from Lightroom to this. So you simply do a Google search if you want to. If you don't have the web address, you just do Adobe Portfolio and you'll see it popped up right here, Adobe Portfolio. And it's actually portfolio.adobe.com is the actual URL. So either way, so you can use portfolio.adobe.com or you can Google search it and then just click on it. And what happens if I click on it, it will open a page. Now this is my page. Let's see, let's go back. Okay, so yours will probably look like this. I've already got web pages, so I can't start from the very, very beginning, but I think yours will be looking like this. So I would suggest that you just scroll through this and it gives you lots of information, like it shows you, see what's possible. So you can see some examples of websites that people have made that might inspire you to know how you want to put yours together, what you want to grab to do it. And you can get more by just clicking sideways and it'll take you, you know, so you can, I think you can click on these. Well, maybe it's just showing you the cover page, but I just wanted to point out, if you notice, like this one says it's a theme of Thomas. So is this one. Those are themes that you can look at. And here's another one, but yet they all look different. So you can use one of their standard template themes and turn it into something that is individually you. And if you scroll down, it tells you about all the different things that it can do. And it optimizes it for any device. So it's already worked out, making sure that it fits on a phone, a tablet, or a desktop. It tells you that you can purchase a domain name and use that. You can get fonts. You can go directly into your Lightroom photos and work with it from there. They produce these instantaneous photo grids, and you can password protect it if you want. You can protect your entire website, or you can protect just a section of it. Like maybe you've taken someone's family photos and they don't particularly want you to share it online with anybody but their family. You can protect that page so only they can get in with the password, or whoever wants to get in can only get in if they have that password. So that's a neat feature. So if you go back to the top, then you'll see you can, that was just a simple overview, but you can look at what they have for photographers. And so you can just scroll through here. And again, they give you different options of looking at different things and how to set it. So I would look at it, read it, enjoy what you're seeing. And then there's more examples. Resources are, you can see there's like classes. I think they're probably articles. I didn't click on them. I haven't been in them, so I don't really know what they are, but it looks like there's probably articles in there to explain things, show you different things you can do. So to get started, what you'll do is you'd come up here and you're going to sign in. And I'm already signed in, so we'll just go to my account. Man, that's not where I wanted to go, actually. I wanted to go here. I wanted to get into here. So this, once you get signed in, it should take you to a page. And I think if you haven't created anything yet, I think you'll see 1, 2, or 3 boxes that look like this. It says new site. Again, you can create up to 5 sites. So I've got 2 going on. I'm not going to start a new one just because I don't want to have to try to get back out of it if I ever want to use that site. So we'll go into one that I've already published. And so once you've made started, it will show up like this, and then it'll just say edit site. So you're just going to click on that to get back in and out of it. So to get back in it, we'll say edit site. So I'm going to get into here. And so this is what one that's been worked on looks like. And you'll notice as I move my cursor, different things pop up, little blue boxes on different things. So we'll go over some of those and give you an idea. And if you guys have questions at any time, feel free to ask me. I'm no pro, but I've done it a few times, so I might have the answer, I may not. But let's look at some of the things on the left. So I've got this, hold on a second.
I have a question, Jackie.
Go for it.
I know this is not, what's going on in this class, but can I buy prints off of your site?
No, so that is one thing. This is sort of like a viewing gallery type website. It's not a commercial, so it's not a commerce type website. So no, they don't do the selling on there. That's the downside. It's free. So if you're only someone that just wants to share it with friends or family, you can easily do that. But if you are wanting it as a merchandiser or a website for commerce work, yeah, no, they don't have that option. So here is just to give you a look at one or the other. I had to pull this down because all the Zoom information is up here at the top and I can't see my thing. I'll put it back in a minute. But this is what you're working with, where this panel is a working panel, and then this is all working things. So the real website looks like this. So you can see there's nothing over here. So I'm going to go back to this one. And let's look at some of these things. Integrations, I don't know anything about that, quite frankly. I'll show it. Behance is another Adobe program. It's kind of social media type stuff, and I just don't do that. I think if you wanted to sell to Adobe stock, I think that's another thing that you can integrate this website with that. I just don't know anything about it. So I'm going to pretend that that's not there because I can't help you with that. Then there's the themes. So when I click here, and I think this will be the first thing that you will encounter. If you decide to make a website, I think it will ask you to create a theme. And so you can look through all the themes that they have, and then you will select one. And it will say, use this theme. So if that's the one you like, you would click on it and you'll use it. And you can get in there and you can see what they look like. I won't go ahead and do that. I don't want to mess things up, but I can go in and click on that and kind of peruse it and see if I like the way it lays out. And if I chose to do that, I could use this theme and it would take anything that I've already put in, because you can see right here, Marina is the current one. See, it says current. So that's the layout theme that I used. I've tweaked it some, but that's where I was my starting point. And if I decided to change my mind and I wanted to use rows, I could do that. And it would take all the pictures that were already in my website and it would just move them to a different layout. And you might want to tweak it afterwards, but at least it gets the majority of the information over and in place. And you may want to tweak it a little bit after you see it, but otherwise, at least it moves everything. It moves all your wording, all your pictures in the order you had them in, and it places them in a new theme. And if you don't like it, you can go back or you can go to another one. So you can change it whenever you want. So that's the thing about themes. And then settings. So if you go into settings, there's a lot of different things you can click on. I'm just going to talk about a few of them. And when I'm going through here tonight, this isn't my typical class. I'm kind of just showing you some stuff and then to give you confidence to go in and play with it. And that's kind of what you got to do, is just to go in, look at it, see if you decide what you want. But I'll show you some of the things that you need to know, and you can play with it after that. So the first thing is domain name. And I told you I had gotten my domain name as jackiegers.com so that somebody could find it easily. But you don't have to use it. What happens though is if you wanted to get one, you go ahead and you get it through that hosting website. And then when you come over here, it asks you what domain name you want. So you typed in, I typed in myname.com. And then it says, did I want to use that? And I think I answered yes. I don't remember exactly what it asked. And it instantly found it on GoDaddy.com. And then I just had to give it the right to connect my domain name that I had registered with this website. And once I did, then it said it was pending, and it could take up to 72 hours, but it didn't. It might have taken 6 or 8 hours before it actually said verified on it, which you can see that right there. So you can place it on there. If you don't, then they're telling you, you can type in what you want for the first part of this, but this is the rest of your address. So whatever you type in here, so in my case, I did Jackie Gers, but it could be Jackie's photography, if that's what I wanted it to be, and then it would be .myportfolio.com. Now, if they say somebody else already is using that, because you have a more common choice that you had stuck in there, then you may have to choose a different one. But what happens when I have my domain name that I paid for, if I were to type in this other one, it will link it to this. So either address will work to get me to this website. Okay, the next thing is a home page, and you can kind of see on my layout up here, I have these are navigation tab things. And so I have had my home page just be recent galleries. So that's what just comes up now. I mean, I could do a splash page, and that's where it's just a picture. And I did do that. I decided not to. I don't know. You could do it or you don't have to. But I decided to use this as my home page. So it actually, because of I have several created, it asked me which one of those I wanted to be my home page, and I selected that one. Analytics, I don't have any of that going, but if you get into wanting to know how many people were on your site, or I don't know what exactly analytics it's going to inform you of, but you could get into that. Optimization, I think this has to do with finding your name on when it searches like Google or so on. I didn't do anything with this one. This one I wanted to talk to you about. This, I didn't know what favicon was, and maybe you don't either, or maybe you do. But if you look at the top here where these tabs are, and my name, this is my website, and you notice next to it, I have that little red circle with the camera in it. That's a favicon. I don't even know how you say it, but that's the way I pronounce it. So you can place that in there, and I liked having something there as opposed to having nothing there. So what I did is I Googled icon photographic or photo icon clip art, I think is what I did, but whatever makes sense to you. And then it had a bunch of them, so I just copied one of them and used it. It just says it has to be 32 by 32 pixels. And so for me, I already have one in here, so it says, gives me the option to replace it. For you, if you've never built one, it would just say something about putting placing an image in there. So you would click on it, it'll take you to your files, find the one that you had your little clip art in, and that's what it'll turn it into, is that little icon on your, but next to your name or next to whatever your website name is. And so it does have to be square. That's, I think it's about its only criteria. can't remember what this is. Oh, I don't know exactly what this was something, it has to do with those little icons you have on your smartphone screen, like for apps, but I don't, I haven't used it, so I can't get you very far on that. This is the one I wanted to show you though, the site options. And over here, these were all checked. I didn't do it. The same may be true for this light box for images, but I'm going to show you this just in case. This one is checked and you want that checked. What that means is if I were to go into one of these pages inside one of my, these are called pages over here. And if I clicked on it, it would open to a lot of different pictures. What happens is once you get in there and you see the smaller picture, if you click on it, it will go full screen. And that's because I have this checked. So if you want to click on the little icon of the picture or little thumbnail of the picture and you want it to be able to go full screen so you get a good view of it, you would enable this light box for images on my page. So just make sure that's checked. Here's where you can do that password protection, and that would be if you wanted to do a password protection on the entire website. So the only people that could see your website at all would be the ones that had your password that you set up in there. And so if you just want to put it on a page, this isn't where you do it. This is if you wanted to do it on the entire website. Cookie banners, I hate those cookie banners. So I've done nothing with that. If somewhere down the road, I'm told that I have to have that show, I will click it. Otherwise, no, because I hate them. I suppose if this is, you needed to restore something because something went awry. It says it was last published on April 30th. So I was messing with it yesterday. If something went awry, I think you could get back to somewhere. I just don't know how it works. I've never had to do it. Once you publish your site, you can unpublish it. So don't let that freak you out because it kind of seems intimidating. When you go and make this website, then all of a sudden it says, would you like to publish this? And it's kind of like one of those big steps. Oh my gosh, I'm going to publish it, but it's not a big deal. You can unpublish it if you want to. And then there's just my account. So that's some of the just general.
I have a question.
Stuff. Yeah.
Do you have any idea what that means? Because that publish it, there's nothing in my head. It's like, what does that mean?
That means it goes live.
Okay, that's all.
That's all it means.
That makes sense.
So it's like if you publish it, it just means that it's turned on and it now is out there to be explored by whoever happens upon it or whoever you tell about it. Yep.
That's everybody on the planet that's on the internet.
They all have access to it at that point.
All right.
Yep. So
That's a little scary.
I know it's intimidating when you say, oh, I'm going to publish it. Okay. And then you do it and it's like nobody sees it anyway. Okay. So, anyway, when I selected my let me just show how this works a little bit. So I'm in the recent galleries, and this is a page. That's what it's called. And so if I clicked on that, it will open up this collection of images. So you can see what's inside there. And then if I chose to click on it, see, this is that thing where I told you, you want to check that box to enable the light box thing. It allows you to be able to get it to go full screen. So you can really get a view of the picture. And so if I wanted to go back to the recent galleries again. And so you'll see I have quite a few different things. They don't all fall into some category. I've got people pictures, vacation pictures, and so on. These are more where I've just pulled out, so it's my portfolio gallery, so to speak. So you can see this is snowflakes, landscapes, water, mountains. And so over the course of traveling and all my different travels, I have some that fit into these categories that were maybe from different years. So maybe I pulled from 3 or 4 different locations or so on. So I don't know how many's in these. We'll try this one. And I've put these in, some of them are big. Oh, there's only one. Of course, I picked one that just had one picture in it. This one has several in it. So these are put in, and these were put in with a grid, and we'll talk about that again in a minute. If there's more in here, I don't know. So these are singles. There's just 2 in that one. I need to get busy. That's what I need to do. So here and there, this one is a video. So you can put in a video. And these are all where I've just entered a picture individually as opposed to in a photo grid. So let's get more into some of this stuff. And I'll go back to this recent galleries here. And so if you notice over on the left-hand side, there's a bunch of different options here. And these are all clickable. So background colors and fonts. So I can make it light like it is, so white in the background. I could click dark and you can see it dark. I can choose my font. And this is the font that's being used at the top. I try to keep kind of where I use the same one throughout so that it doesn't distract, but you could change it as often as you want. Background, you could use a photo. This is just a solid color background, but you could put an image back there or a texture if you want. And here you have the option to adjust the image that's in the background. I don't have an image back there, so you won't see it, but you can change that. And right now my image is, or background, excuse me, is this color. So you can pick whatever color you want because you'll have the rainbow at your fingertips if that's what you want to do. So that had to do with background colors and fonts. And website containers, then it does mess around with how big it is. So as I slide this, you can adjust how much is showing or how wide it is. You can see they work in conjunction with each other. We'll go back here a second. Logo. So if you look at this particular theme, which is, they call it themes, I call it layouts, but if you look at my name in the upper right hand corner, that's my logo. So if I can turn it off and on. So if I don't want that there, I can turn it off. If I do, then I do. So I turned it on, and I will show you how to create, where you create it. This is just what is on this particular page. Navigation, that's this row. So I can turn that off and get rid of it if I wanted to. But I definitely wanted that there. I don't have a footer. I've got that turned off. I don't need anything at the bottom of the page. But if I did, let's see, if I scroll to the bottom, see if I turn it on. Now you can see it says powered by Adobe Portfolio. So if you don't want to see that, and I didn't, you can turn it off. I think if I remember right, you can make it, like photos by Jackie Gerse or whatever you wanted to say down there. But I didn't feel that it was necessary, but maybe it is for what you could use it to, I don't know, but maybe you would have a reason to put one at the end like that. Cover page, page covers, so you can decide different things about that. And so that would be found here. Collection backgrounds. You can upload a picture again. Some of it is similar in you just have to figure out what they're talking about when they say a collection background versus background colors and fonts. See, this says site-wide and this says for this collection. So if I were to change this collection background, it would be, we'll say I made it red over here. Well, then when I went to portfolio galleries, maybe it would be something different. So a little bit of there. Masthead. Let's see if I turn that on. This is the masthead, this picture. I had turned it off. I didn't necessarily, it just took up space for me. I didn't think it was necessary, but I obviously messed with it for a while, considered it, but now I ended up turning it off, but you may like it. And then I was able, these are individuals, so you can put up here whatever you wanted. Maybe a, you know, you could title your collection. It's like, oh, this was autumn photographs or something. And then I put scroll down just so they could see, in case it was not obvious that they needed to scroll to see the different things. And then I ended up turning it off after all. This one back to the top, if you look in the bottom corner, you'll see an arrow down here. That's what that's referring to. So if I turn that off, that arrow goes away. But I kind of like those on a page that has a lot, so I don't have to scroll back up. So I gave it to them so you can just click on it and go back to the top. And so each one of them also has that back to the top so they can use it. So that's how that works. So let's look at this. This is pertaining to this navigation bar itself. So if I wanted to see what I could do to that, I'm going to click that little arrow and I can customize it and I can manage the pages. So if I hit customize, it opens up some more stuff. So I can come in here and I can adjust the typeface. So I could change my font. I can change the way it's aligned. So right now I just put it in the center of the text box, but you can put it at the top of the text box or at the bottom. You can change the height. You can change the width of the container. This is all for the container. And you can change the margins on that container if you need to. You can uncheck this. This is keep navigation fixed on a scroll. I've got it so that it always stays up there, but if you want to, you can turn that off. You can change the color of the background just on this navigation bar. So for example, if I wanted it to be red, you can see I could make it red. If I wanted, oh, so then there's on the scroll. So maybe this is just in normal viewing, but when I scroll, you can also have it change. So if I click over to on scroll and say there, I wanted it to be red. Well, then I go back to normal. Okay, so it's black now, but if I start scrolling, see how it turns red? So you have some really different options. Let's see, I'm going to undo that. So you have some options that you can make. This is for if it's on a mobile device, I think, and I don't mess with that. I just left it alone. There is a drop shadow, and remember I changed this a while ago. Let's see, to the dark mode. I don't want, let's go back over here. This is the way I have mine, it's white. So that shadow, that's right there. You can kind of see it. Let's see if I can get back there. So if I turn that drop shadow off, you can be looking at right up here and you'll see it go off. Where did it go? Well, I lied to you. It will go off. I don't know why it's not. Maybe I have to get back out of here or something. But that was what it was for. It's not a big deal either way. Just whatever you like. So that's what those are. Talked about this. This is its own box, so it's a logo. So if you click on that, it opens up a different panel over here. So you can use text. So you could get in there and choose whatever font you want, whatever size you want, type in whatever title you want, and you can make it go to the left or the right or the center, which it looks like mine's on the left. It's linked to, it says link to, and it says recent galleries. What that means is, let's see, let me show you something. I'm going to go over here to this gallery. Okay, so my logo's still over here. Let's get back to that. And see, it says linked to and recent galleries. So in other words, that means if I click on my name, Jackie Gears Photography, it's going to take me back to whatever this link to is. So I'm going to click on it and it will take me back. I just want to show you before I do that. It gives you the options of some of the things that are inside my website. So I could have had my name click to any of these, but I chose to go back to what I consider my home page, which is the recent galleries. So see, if I click on it, then it goes back to recent galleries. So the next thing we need to do is, I kind of showed you how they work, but let me show you how you get started. So you've picked your theme. Now we need to create something in there. And I think the most intimidating thing to do is start, because it's just everything's blank. You've got nothing going. So it's like figuring out how to start or what to do next is kind of a challenge. So what you do when you see this, there's this blue plus sign. If I click on it, it opens up this window and it gives us some options. So this is where you're going to start. And the way it's laid out, I don't feel it's laid out in the order of importance, or at least importance to the way I laid my websites out. But let's go over some of them. Each one of these boxes is a page. So to me, this whole page as a whole, recent galleries, is a collection. So it's a collection, create a grid of subpages. So that's kind of what I feel like it is. It could be a page, but I tend to use collections as my starting point. And so we'll just do this as a demo. So I'm going to click on this. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to title it demo. And it asks you if I want to make this my title or my homepage. And no, I don't want it to be my homepage since it's just a demo. I want it to just be another place on my navigation tab. So I'm going to say create that collection. And it opened up a little bit farther. It opened up the pages thing. So see, this is pages. That's what it opened up. And you'll see there's my demo. And if I close this, you can see it's also up here and it's bolded because I have chosen that to, when it's the one you're viewing somewhere down the line in one of my customizations, I've made the one that you see as bold. That you're looking at. And then the smaller ones are not bolded, or the ones that we are not on currently. So you can see it there, and you can see this is how it opened. It put that masthead on there, and then this is all blank. So now I can start filling it in. Let's go back over. And so this one is on the left. Demo's on the left, but if we wanted to keep our homepage, the first thing we had, which in this case was recent galleries, I can move it. So if I go to pages, and this is here, it's on the left on this navigation tab because it's at the top. So if I click on this little circle, I can drag it down to below recent galleries, which is way down here. Whoop. And there's a blue line, you can see it. And if I got that blue line there and I drop it, it puts it there. So now gave me the check mark, it's moved it. I can come over here and you'll see now recent galleries is here and demo is second in line. So you can move it wherever you want along this navigation bar. And as I hover over that navigation bar, you can see the dotted blue line. That's how big, so I could fill that up with all kinds of tabs if I wanted. So I could have that many different, they look like pages, but they're called collections in there. So that's a little bit on that one. So now that we've got this started, let's keep working here. Let's go back to this ad thing. I want to go over a few more of these. So if I would have done a page, we'll just test this out and see where it goes. So I'm going to click on that. And this time I'll call it demo 2. And it wants to know, do I want it to go into demo? So see, it's a page, but it doesn't put it in the navigation tab. What it's wanting to do is put it into one of these other collections that are in the navigation tab. And so if I click on this down arrow, it's all of the ones that you can see listed up there, and a few more that have been turned off. So like black and white, you don't see listed in the navigation bar. I did create it. It does exist. I just flipped the switch on it. It's not showing right now. So I have some other options, but that's what it wants to do. If you click on new page, it wants to put it inside a collection. I'm going to cancel this and go back. So let's do another. Welcome page was a full, like a splash landing page. And so I did have one of those. Let's see, I'll show you. Instead of creating another one, I'll just open the one I have. It is here. I have it turned off. It's under, it says home. I have it turned off. I'm going to turn it on. I'm going to click on it. And there you can see that was my splash page that I ended up turning off just because I felt like it. And the way it works is you can put a photo in the background, or you could put whatever you wanted in the background, whether it's a solid or a photo, or you can actually put like an overlay on it to make it look a little bit less, you know, like fog, makes it look kind of foggy or something. And then the way it would work is I've also added a button to it. And so this button is linked to the home page so that it goes to that. So if I enter site, and then it would take me over here. I also added that home as a part of that navigation bar. But again, I'm going to turn that off. Okay, and it's now I've put a check mark, so it did it. It's out accurate to the way I had it before. Okay, so let's go back and look at it again. This one is a Lightroom album. So it's a way that you can instantly create a page and select your thing. So I'm going to click on it. These are my collections that are in my Lightroom. So Lightroom Classic, these are all collections that I have synced with the cloud. And so I could take and click on, we'll say the first one, and I'm going to import that. I was messing with it. Let's see, let's go back to the editor. I got rid of it. Thought I'd be able to use it again. Let's try it again. We will pick, let's take this one. And I'm going to import selected. So here were all the images that I had inside that collection. And what this was I was messing with this calendar selection. So these are pictures I put in the 2020 calendar. And there's duplicates because I don't remember why. I had virtual copies going on. So anyway, so you can see, it just instantly put it in there. I didn't have to worry about that. Now I can come over to see where it put it, because I'm not sure, but it put it in recent galleries. So it flunked it right in there. So if I go back to there you'll see it. So that's how you can get a page up really quickly, is just to have that collection, and you just click the button and it puts it there. And if you don't like the way it's organized, like, oh, well, I didn't want it first, I wanted it last in the list on the page, well, you can move it. You can get in here, and it says, you can edit the cover photo. So you could edit the one that shows up in this big square. You could choose one of the others that were in the bunch. You can go to page information, and you can change the title that appears when I hover over it. You can write a whole description if you want to. It doesn't seem to show the month and the date. I don't know why that's an option. It never does. I don't know why, and I don't care because I don't usually use the dates, but you can also go edit page content. So then what it does is it opens this up, and you can reorganize these. So if you wanted to, you could say, I want to, whoop, sorry, my cursor's gone wild. I could now get in here and I could edit this. So I could manage my images, which means if I click on it, see, I can add a caption to each one of those. So say, for example, I wanted to show somebody, I had shot their family pictures and I was showing them their images, and I wanted to put the image number on them. Say, we'll say this was number 1, and this was number 11, and this was number 65. And they were looking at it. I wanted them to be able to say, you know, Jackie, I think I want to order picture number 65 in this particular page, and then I would know which one it was. So you can add that, or you can title them, or you could tell where it was, or you could do whatever you want to with them. You can add more photos to this collection. So I could come in here, add photo, and it will ask me, where do I want to add them from? Do I want to upload a file from my filing system, or do I want to go to Lightroom and pull it in from a collection? So that's just, this is, I don't know exactly how this works because it says A to Z or Z to A. So I guess it just essentially means the way it is ordered now is probably A to Z. And if I hit Z to A, it would probably put the bottom one first. And then custom means you can pull them around. So if I chose to, I could at this point decide I want that there, and I can reorganize it. So we'll say done there. So let's go back. Back up a little bit. The other thing I wanted to show you was a link. And so what this does, and this is kind of cool, I told you I have 2 websites created. So I could put my other website, a link to it up here in this navigation bar. And so to do that, I'm going to pull this whole screen down a little bit so I can get at it. I would say I want to, what do I want to call it? So we'll just say in this case, I'll call it Jackie's Art. And now it wants the URL. So I have to get that. So I already have it up here so I could get it. So I'm going to copy that. And then I'm going to go back over here and I'm going to paste it in. And I'm going to create that link, and you'll see now it puts it up there. And so if I wanted to link it to that, so now you just click on that and it will take you to that other website. So that's kind of cool. Let's go back to the one we were on. And let's go back to recent galleries here. So we've gone through all those. I want to show you, go to the pages section. And you'll see I have a bunch of them here. And I don't have them all turned on. You can see this one's off. This one may be off because I think I started it and I never put anything in it. So it's empty right now. And some of them are just old, so I turned them off and didn't delete them, but you can delete them. So if I chose to say, delete this one because it's off, I just come over here and at the bottom it says delete page. So there's a lot of things. I could add a password. So with any of these, say, for example, this one, this is the baby's picture. So if I only wanted his mama and daddy to see it or grandparents, I could have put a password on here. So to do that, I would go to pages, I would find his and the gear on that particular page, click on it, and I can change the title from here. I could change the page URL. I have not messed with that. I don't know why you'd want to duplicate the page, but maybe you want to put it in another location too. So you can put the same page, say maybe I want it in my portfolio gallery and in my recent gallery. You could do that. Here's where you add a page password. So you'd come over here and you could just type in whatever password made sense to you and then give it to the person that you wanted to see it, and only they could get into that. You can hide it from navigation. I don't want to do that. I just turned it off. So maybe that's one and the same thing. And you view page, I guess it just takes you over there. You can set it as your home page. I don't want to do that. I don't have anything to do with Behance. So, but you can do all those different things for each and every one of these. So you can set them up individually. Again, if these aren't in the order you want, you can change it around. So I could take, and I wanted the Hawaii one to be first. I can just drag it and drop it, change the order. And then when I go into recent galleries, oops, it should have changed the order. See it, well, because of this one being in there, let me get rid of that. So now you'll see it did change the order. It reversed these. So every time you see this dotted blue line and this something in a blue square pops up, it's talking about this page. So what can you do to this page? And here's the different editing techniques you could use to change that page to meet your criteria. This is for navigation. If you get into this page, you'll see that there's photo grids. And that's what these two, so really this is one picture essentially. I mean, I brought it in as one chunk. And so they're not individual, but I can change, I can click on it. If you notice if you get into a page and you've done, say, this grid, and you'll notice if I click or if I hover above it, you'll see a plus sign. If I hover below it, a plus sign too. So I can add something to it. So what can I add? I could add an image, text, photo, another photo grid, an individual picture out of Lightroom. I could add a video, music, embedded. That is, I think I did that once, and I'll show you that in a second. It's under this travel journal thing. You could put a button on it, your contact form, which that would be something that you can link to your email. And you can put social media icons on, on a page so that they can, I don't know what you do with it because I don't do that. But anyway, so these are some different things. So suppose you wanted to do text, we'll say text. Below it, oh, I was above it. It opened a text box. And so I can just start typing here. So we'll say, and where was I? So there I have it. Now, this is what I wanted to say, but oh gosh, I don't like that font. So if I select it like this, what you notice is now you have control over the font. So I can come up here and I can find a variety of different fonts. Or you can even add fonts. So you can go click here and you can get into adding fonts to this. You can change the size of the font. You can change if it were, oops, hold on. If it were 2 lines, you can get into the spacing of the lines, between the lines, so that you can make some adjustments here, whatever the font that you've chosen allows. Like this one doesn't seem to allow bolding, but you could underline it if you wanted, or uppercase, and you can change its alignment. You could add, make it a link if you wanted to. I'm not sure what this one is or that one. But know that you can do that. So that's with that. Oh, and see here too. So there's a plus on each side of this text box. If I click here, it allows me to add another text box to the left. In this case, I could add an image to the left, or any one of these options over here. It would put another one. So let's just try it. We'll select image and we'll just see if I can find an image really fast. Oh, same picture. Okay, let's try this one. So it's adding the image. You can see it adding it in. Okay, so it's there. And here's the text. So we can change that. And now we could change the size of this. And so maybe that's the look you want. I'm just making things up here now, just so you can see. So there's a variety of things that you can do. You can get rid of it if you said, oh no, I don't like that after all. Well, we just want to edit, so we want to delete that image. And if I don't want that, I can delete that, or I can add something to the right-hand side by clicking that plus, selecting what I want to do, and it will put it on the right side of that. I can come down here, hit this plus and say, add another photo grid. Now it asks me where I want to get it. Do I want to go to my file system and pick some JPEGs that I have in a file, or do I want to go to Lightroom? We'll pick Lightroom because that's super easy. It's going to bring up all those pictures. I can pick whatever I want. We'll just say I want that. And then within this, maybe I want this picture. So I only want one of those 4 or 5 pictures. And it will now open it. It's loading. There it is. Now, if it's too big, I can come up here. I can, see, this was a grid. I actually put it in grid. So let's see. It gives me the opportunity to change. No, this isn't what I should have done. But there, I can shrink it so that it's not as big as before. And that's because I was in grid mode, because I should have picked 2 or 3 pictures. So let's change this. Let's go. Let's delete that grid. We'll add another one. Go back to Lightroom. I'll just pick on that same folder, and this time I'll add. We'll just add all of them. So now it'll load them all in, but I don't like the way it looks. I don't want this one to be that big. Well, you can come over here, click edit grid styles or manage images. You could do either, but let's try this. And this can adjust the gutter size. See what it's doing? This limits the amount you have in a row. So we're at 3 anyway, but you could definitely limit it to 3. You can change the size so it doesn't, it's not as wide, gives a little bit of variance between this grid and this one. You can adjust the spacing. between it. And if there wasn't one below it, then you can adjust that down here too. So, but what if you wanted to do something else? Let's see, let's go in here and look at one more thing. So that was adjusting the grid style, but you could also manage images. So now you can add those captions. You could also reorder it. So I could drag and drop. And now let's look and see how that looks. And you'll say, maybe that's that. I prefer that one being big. That's good. I don't know. I'm making this up as I go. But anyway, so that is just kind of a thing. Now you can say, well, I want to see what this really looks like, but I don't want it to go live. So mine, you'll see in this bottom left-hand corner, it says update live website. That's because I already have a website. If you hadn't yet published it, it would say publish or something to that effect. And so that's when you'd say you were ready to publish, if you were ready to put it live online. But if you just want to look at it and see how it's laying out, you can hit preview. And it will bring this up, and you can go through and you can check out what you've done and see if things are working the way you expect them to work. You can click around on it and see if things look the way you want them to look, and see that everything's working. You can also come down here to the bottom, and this is showing you now, this is what it looks like on a desktop. But if you were looking at it on a tablet in vertical format, this is what you're going to see. And if you turn that tablet horizontally, then this is kind of the view you're going to get. And if you're on a phone, it looks like this. If you're holding it vertically, and horizontally, it looks like this. So at this point, I can say, okay, I'm happy with what I'm seeing. And you'll notice this has got, you know, these kind of things up here. If it's on a phone. So I can either update my site live because I like it, or I can go back to editing. And that's kind of all there is. I know it probably got boring since you're watching me do that, but hopefully it will be a reference for you if you want to try it and you need to go back, and you can kind of see what I've done, or maybe I had an answer for you. But that's all I had concerning this, unless you have a question you want to go over. So I'm going to stop sharing. I can come back in here if we need to, but we'll stop sharing for now.
That gives you a heck of a lot of options for a freebie.
It does. And so it's a great way to share pictures, even if it's just for your own sake, or, you know, or for your family. So you can say, hey, we went on vacation. Here's some of my pictures.
Mm-hmm.
Does a lot. And I didn't change themes because I didn't want to do that. But I guess let's see. This other one I have. So if I were to click over here, see, this is my secondary one, and it's totally different than the first one. And inside here, I have galleries, or collections, they're called. And you can click in there. You'll also notice, and I didn't get into this because I thought I was probably boring you the way it was, but when you hover over these pictures, if you want to make them, you can make them go black and white, or you could have them look black and white until you click on them. But I feel that that's kind of confusing, so I don't do that, but it will make a very uniform looking page. But anyway, so some of these, let's see, have writing underneath. So see, that's where you can take and you can explain something about whatever it is. And, you know, I've had a description of them, or what I felt needed to be said about them. So anyway, was there any other questions you guys had? Well, I hope it was informative. I know that it might have gotten boring for some people. It may have gotten boring for everybody, but that's what I got anyway. So we'll see if we can have another meeting on a different topic. It'll have to be late May because of my schedule. So I'll try to get one scheduled. I know last time I scheduled it during our meeting and then I ended up having to change it. So I think I'll just hold up and see what works out when we get back from my son's wedding. So and then I'm open to suggestions. So if there's something that you want to learn about in Lightroom or Lightroom related, we can do that. So just let me know what that would be. All right.
Hey, thank you, Jackie. That was very interesting. And
Oh, good.
I knew we could get free websites, but I had no idea how to do it. So thank you.
You're welcome. I hope you guys will go out and do it and then share your email address with me or your website address and I'll check it out.
Okay.
All right. So if that's it, we'll just go.
Thanks,
And,
Jackie.
Okay. Good
so
night.
we will see you later, guys. Bye.
Bye.